it's Afeera, and this week I'm going to be teaching you how to make scrunchies and headbands. But for this craft, you will need an adult present because we are going to be using a sewing needle, so I want you to be very careful and make sure that there is someone who can help you and watch you while you are using the supplies.
The supplies you'll need are any type of fabric. It can be an old t-shirt or fabric you have laying around, scissors, any kind of scissors. You're going to need some hair ties. They can be old, and you also need a longer headband that is elastic. If you don't have that, you can also use some type of rope. You'll need a marker. You'll also need some sewing needle or just one sewing needle. This is the part where you have to be really careful. Be careful with your sewing needle, guys. You'll also need some tape. This is optional, but any straight pins or safety pins that you have. You also need any type of thread and one ruler. Okay, so to get started, I have used this. It's actually one of my old shirts. This is one of the sleeves that I have. I like this pattern and I wanted to use it for my scrunchie. So I'm going to take my marker and my ruler, and I'm going to put my ruler to the edge of my fabric. And then what I'm going to do is just mark the beginning of where the ruler starts. Now what I'm going to do is take one of my hair ties, and I'm going to find where it is attached, and I'm going to just cut that. And I'm going to line it up to my ruler. The way you know how long you want your scrunchie to be is you want it to be 2 times the length of your hair tie. So I'm just marking the end of my hair tie here to see how long it is, and I'm going to take a ruler and measure how long it is. If you don't have a ruler, that's fine, you can use the hair tie. So I'm just marking off where I want that to go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line across 3 inches. So you can see 3 inches. I'm going to take it from the end and make a mark there. That's how thick I want my fabric to be. This is so that the scrunchie is a little bit puffy. Now I'm just drawing a line down the length and making sure that it's straight. It's okay if it's not too straight. We just want it to be the proper length and width. So now I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that out. So I'm going to take that line, I'm going to cut it out. Be careful with your scissors, guys. You want to be watching your fingers. So I'm just cutting that piece out, as you can see there. So now I have that piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with another piece of fabric. So you can see that I'm measuring that and I'm cutting the same thing 2 times the length of my hair tie and 3 inches wide. Now I have 2 pieces. Now what I've done here is I'm going to take a safety pin or a straight pin, just like that. With this, I would like you to have someone around you that can help, because all these things are a little sharp and we could hurt ourselves, so let's please be careful. And I'm just going to line up my 2 pieces. So the 2 pieces of fabric that I've chosen are lined up, and I'm putting this here so that when I'm sewing, these pieces don't move around and I don't have to hold them. They'll stay in their place. So I've just done that all throughout. Safety pins are a little safer. Now I'm taking thread. It doesn't have to be the same color. I've used just some gray. And you're going to take your needle. So the best way to thread a needle is you cut the end off to make sure it's like the thread is sharp, and now you are just going to make sure you put that thread in the hole of your sewing needle. It takes a few tries, it doesn't happen in the first go, but you want to be really patient and you want to put it in and then pull it through. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the thread pretty long, so I'm going to keep pulling and making sure both sides of the needle have the same length of thread. So you can see how there's two pieces, and I just keep pulling. Do whatever length you're comfortable with. You can always, if you run out, add more. So I'm just making mine pretty long, about a little bit longer than how long my fabric is. So now what you want to do is when you finally feel like it's long enough, you cut the end and then you tie a knot. You tie both the pieces together. So you want to tie a knot so they stay together. I wrap it around my finger and then bring it from under through the middle. And I just tie a knot really tight. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm sewing. So I just put it in one way and then I make kind of like a snake pattern. So I go in and out and in and out, and see, this is just what I'm doing through the whole side. So you only want to do the long sides. You want to leave the smaller sides open. You don't want to sew those. So I'm just doing that. And as you can see right here, I'm just going to cut it, and then I'm doing the other side. I'm not doing the small 3-inch widths. So I'm just going through kind of like a snake, taking my needle, pulling it through, and now this is what I have. So what I'm going to do is take that hair tie that you cut earlier, and you're just going to find one of these open sides, whatever one you prefer. I'm just going to take this, set it down, make sure it's straight. I'm just going to put it against the edge with a little bit of the hair tie sticking out. Here, I'll show you. So you can see that the hair tie is on the outside of where, there you go. I'm going to take my needle back. Make sure that once you cut the thread, you are tying another knot at the bottom. Now I'm just going to tie around the hair tie. I'm doing this so that the hair tie stays in the place, because it'll make it a lot easier. So what I'm doing is I'm going under the hair tie, and then I'm going to go over the hair tie, kind of making a circle around the hair tie to make sure it doesn't move. I know my camera angle is a little messy here, so you can't really see it, but I'll move it back in place so you can see it. Yeah, you just want to make sure you pull this part really tight so that your hair tie doesn't move. I'm going to go here. I'll show you. I'm going to go in right beside the hair tie. I'm going to pull it through. So I'm going to go in. Make sure you have an adult with you because the needle is sharp. So you can see how I made like a loop around the hair tie, and I'm pulling it tight so it stays in place. I'm going to do the same thing around 3 to 4 times. Again, sorry about this camera angle, but I'm just going to pull up, and then I'm going to go around kind of like that and pull. And now scrunch up all the fabric on the opposite side of where the hair tie is attached, and you're going to find a little opening. So I'm just putting my fingers through, and once I find the opening, I'm going to pull my finger through it. I'm going to flip the fabric inside out. This makes it really neat, and all the pieces that you sewed are inside, so it seems like one long tube, as you can see. And now my hair tie is inside of this. So what I'm going to do is, now I'm straightening this up a little. I'm going to put my fingers back in and try to take the hair tie piece out. So I'm pulling it out to one end. Because it's already attached to the other end because we sewed it on, it's going to stay there, and we're just going to take the other side and pull it out like this. And now you're going to find the end of this, and you'll be able to see your hair tie. So I'm just going to find the hair tie piece. I'm going to pull it out of its little, right there. So you can see the brown hair tie, and I'm going to sew these two pieces of hair tie together. So with this, I'm going to bring back my needle that has the thread on it, and I am just going to put the needle through the hair tie. Remember to have someone like an adult with you so you don't get hurt, but I'm just putting it through both pieces and pulling it really tight so they stay together. And I'm going to do this 5 or 6 times until I think that it's not moving. So I just put it through both pieces, both ends of the hair tie, and pull it really tight. Please remember to watch your fingers and have someone around you that can help and supervise. So just pulling it really tight. It's okay if your fabric kind of gets in the way. You just gotta be patient and don't pull too hard. You don't want to pull hard and pull the thread. You just want to make sure that it's tightly done. So you can see I've done this I think 3 times now. I'm going to keep doing it a few more times, really tight. You can see that I'm not pushing too hard. So now that it is attached, I'm going to pull the scrunchie pieces, the fabric together. You can see how the ends are not attached. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your needle that has a thread on it, and you're just going to sew these 2 pieces together. Now remember that it doesn't have to be too clean because it is the end and it won't show. So I'm going to go through both pieces of fabric and then pull up and then do that again. So I'm going through both pieces of fabric, pulling up, coming back onto the same side that I put the fabric through, and going again. So I'm just going to show you this sped up. And there you have it. This is your scrunchie. You can use any type of fabric. I thought this fabric was pretty cool and I liked it a lot, so this is what I use. This is how it looks on my hand. And at the end of the video, I will show you how it looks in my hair. Now I'm going to show you how to make a braided headband. You're going to need 3 pieces of fabric. I'm using the same type of fabric and I'm cutting it into 3 strands. For this, it doesn't matter how thick it is. You get to choose however thick you want your material. You want to cut them, all of them, kind of a similar size. I'm not measuring, but I'm going to eyeball kind of making them all 3 the same size. So now what I'm going to do with these 3 is I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to sew together the top of the 3 pieces. So I'll just attach them one on top of the other just like that, and I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to just sew, putting it in one side, pulling up, bringing it back into the side, pulling up. I'm going to do that a few times just to make sure they don't move while I'm braiding. So now I'm going to show you how to secure a knot. So you make a loop, and once you make that loop, you bring your needle through it before you pull it tight, and it makes a knot. So I just cut off the extra string, and now what I'm going to do is take some tape, and I'm just going to tape the top of this onto my table just so it doesn't move around. Now I'm going to teach you how to braid if you do not know. So what you're going to do is lay them all separately, bring the right side to the middle, then the left side to the middle. Just like that. Then again, bring the right side to the middle, then the left side to the middle. And you keep doing that all the way down. So right side, then left side, and you'll have your braid. Once you're done your braid, you want to grab the end 3 pieces and just sew them together. So I'm just bringing my needle all the way through all 3 pieces, pulling the needle up, and then back around. Make sure you have an adult with you because I do not want you guys getting hurt. So you do the same thing. Pull the needle up and through. Pull it very tight so that the braid does not come out. Now you can do this as many times as you want until you think it is all tight and will not come out. So I'm just going to cut the extra thread out and cut all these raggedy pieces off. Now I have my braid. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that old elastic headband I had, and I'm going to actually attach these 2 pieces together. So I'm just sewing one of the pieces of the headband to my braid. The way I'm doing this, I'm taking the needle and I'm putting it through the headband and the fabric, and I'm just pulling that tight, and I'm doing that a few times to make sure it's secure. Now since this is thick because the headband has elastic in it, be really careful when you're pulling this and make sure you have an adult with you. I'm going to do this a few times until I think that it is all done. Now once you're done that, you can just cut off the extra string and then cut off any extra pieces so it looks really neat. Now you just do the same thing to the other side. The way you can measure it is now you put the headband on your head and see what parts you can see. Now I'm just stretching it. So I'm stretching it to see where the middle of this headband would be, and I'm just going to attach the top piece to the top just so it doesn't fall off easily. If you'd like, you can attach all parts together, but I think just those 3 parts is enough. I'm doing the same thing I did before, just attaching them up and then through, being very careful because this is a needle. And I'm going to do that until it's done. And then I will show you the final product at the end of the video so you can see how it looks on. Okay guys, so that was the craft. As you can see, I have my headband on and I have my matching scrunchie. So this is how my headband looks. You can see, looks pretty cool. And this is, like, the scrunchie works pretty good. I'm just gonna pull all my hair to one side, show you that it works really well. I can wrap it twice and see, looks pretty good. I hope you guys enjoyed this craft. Bye.